Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Wide Awake Politics. It's Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. It's been the longest week. It's been the longest January, really. I mean, come on. Um, I guess if we can think about a positive, it's like you never know what a whole new adventure you're gonna wake up to this week. It's been interesting. I think we owe it to ourselves to kind of go over this week so far. And we may have to break this up into a couple episodes, but I probably will post them back to back. And you can kind of choose your own adventure on how you want to do that. First off, I would like to address the fact that I am under the weather. I've been under the weather for about a week. So that has made this entire week so much better. But sorry, I'm gonna shake that whole camera if I don't get myself together. Um, so let's start off. First off, let's check in. I want to make sure that one, that if you're watching this, one, you're safe. Two, that you know that you are loved. No matter what happened this week, whether you think your identity doesn't exist anymore. I see you. We see you. You are loved. We're going to fight for you. Also, apparently, we're all females now, according to the new definition of male and female. By the way, huh? So, get it, girl. Get it, girl. You're a female now. All of us. Because of the definitions. Honestly, it could be interpreted as we're all females or we're all non-binary. Honestly. So, congratulations. None of us exist. We'll get to why I say that, because there is an executive action that details the fact that there are only men and women now in America, and they put a definition in there that's not a good definition. I always thought there was always this game over the past 4 years that Republicans played with a lot of different people and they're still playing it right now. I think that the head of the DNC had a committee hearing, and Nancy Mace asked the head of the DNC, "What is your definition of a woman?" And he's like, "What?" And my response to all of that is always, ask them what their definition of. Just because we want to work off, because obviously they know what the definition of a woman is. So why don't we get their definition? Because they obviously know what it is, and we'll work from there. They defined it, and that's not what that says. I always wanted to know what their definition was. And the overarching definition, I'm just going to get into it real quick. The overarching definition is for a woman is an adult human female. Their definition for a man is adult human male. Got it? You good now? It's very clear. Now, a little bit later, we're going to get into their actual definitions of female and male, and it is, again, not real. So, that's good. I find that to be actually really, really funny. Besides the fact that they have completely invalidated the lives of trans people, of people that are non-binary. The United States actually has the ability for you to put an X on your passport. People have an X on their passport. Now, according to an executive order, there are only two recognized sexes, male and female. What is an X? What do they do? What do they do? What does somebody like, to be clear, this will go on for people that from now on, it doesn't go backwards. It's just the fact that, like, these people exist. Like, now you're saying that from this point on, there's no more of these people. They don't exist ever. That's not how this works. Anyway, I am getting way too into the weeds too soon. So if you can tell, I'm pretty emotional. I am, because there's ice that is falling off of the roof right now, and it's melting and falling off. So if you hear like crazy noises, that's what that is. And I think it's probably gonna mess up the solar panels, but I don't know. I don't know how any of that works, but I would assume. Um, so let's get into. I just have to tell myself slow down. I want to make sure that we're safe. I want to make sure that you're safe. I want to make sure that you have people. If you don't, hit me up on socials. Hit me up anywhere. Hit me up in the comments. I don't care. Find me. I'm Misty.Colache. Colache is my last name. Misty is my first name. You can hit me up on any of the socials. I know I just put my stuff out there. I get hate all the time. I don't really care. You're a keyboard warrior, cool. You want to come after me, cool. But because my mission is to help the people that need it. So if you're having a hard time, if you need support, whatever you need, hit me up, find me. Hit me up on any of those. I'll be glad to have a discussion. Let's talk. Let's find resources to help. There's so many things out there right now that we can utilize. So don't give up. This is a fight that people before us had to fight, and it sucks that we had to like go backwards. But guess what? We go forward together. All the things that we've accomplished, it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. We're going to find out how we're going to get ourselves back to an equal playing field, right? You exist. You exist, baby. I love you. All right. But let's get to this week so far. I have to take some deep breaths. I've been meditating this week, so that's been fun. But yeah, January 20th, 2025. It's a fun times that we're having, right? Inauguration Day. Inauguration Day. Usually a big outdoor ceremony. It's actually been kind of recently that it's changed to be facing the National Mall, so you can see that big group of people, and it's a beautiful sight. It really is. I think it's better that way. It used to actually face the Supreme Court. It's a much smaller area, but it like I get it, but now it faces the people, and it's a beautiful sight. I've always wanted to attend an inauguration and haven't got to yet, so maybe the next one, if we have one. But this one's a little bit different because it was moved indoors, right? There was frigid weather forecasted. It ended up being as cold as it was supposed to get, but it's a lot colder this later on this week than it was then. A lot of pomp and circumstances happened. A lot of different things that you probably saw that they were like, oh, this is a custom, customs and courtesies, all of these kind of things. One of the things you saw was the Biden's open arms welcoming the Trumps back to the White House. I believe Biden said, welcome home. I could have just, dealt with a hello. But I do appreciate the welcoming. And I say that because a lot of people have been saying, why is Biden not doing anything, right? Why aren't the Democrats doing anything? Like, he called him a fascist. Obviously, he doesn't believe. Yes, he is. He is a fascist. He's setting up an oligarchy. And we're very close to authoritarianism right now. And if Biden did anything, he becomes undemocratic. We, the people, remember? We, the people, we had the choice. And a majority of people voted for Donald J. Trump. And that's what we do. That's what we do in a democracy. We move forward, and we have to do these things. Now, we have this visual of him coming in, being greeted. We have the visual of the Vances being greeted by Vice President Harris and Second Gentleman Doug Imhoff. There was actually a really cute moment there. I like to point out the good stuff because we're going to get into some really crappy stuff, right? One of the things that Vice President Vance was doing, he got out of the car and was about to run up them stairs, and you see Doug just go, and he's telling him, "Wait for your wife, bro." I don't blame JD for being excited because I just found out he had never been inside the West Wing before until like yesterday, which is funny. Uh, but he had, he was excited. He did, and there's very particular customs and customs courtesies protocols for that. And so Doug just gave him the quick, like, hold on, brother. And I thought that was like a sweet moment. You saw that peaceful transition of power, right? You saw the Vances, the Trumps, riding to the Capitol with the Bidens and Vice President Harris and Doug Imhoff. And you saw that. You saw after the inauguration them waving goodbye to the Bidens, Harris and her husband leaving in the car. You saw all of that. And that is what we are supposed to see. We have been unable to see that for a while because President Trump did not attend the inauguration of Joe Biden. President Trump refused to acknowledge that he lost the election. President Trump is still refusing to say that he lost the 2020 election. That's not how democracy works. So he skipped all of that, but he made sure to talk about after the inauguration and everything, and all the beauty of the circumstance, and it was a great, it's a big ceremony, it's supposed to happen like this, and blah, 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 blah. He keeps saying that, but nobody is going to bring up the fact that we didn't get to see that before because you refused to, because you're a sore loser. Not to mention what happened on January 6th. But, couple other things for the actual inauguration. Again, it's indoors because of the frigid temperatures. So that means that the stage for the VIPs, it shrinks tremendously. What you normally see on like the immediate stage is the on the one side you see the former president administration, you see dignitaries, you see Supreme Court justices, you see former presidents, and you see a couple other people mixed in on that side. I think Dana White was sitting behind the former presidents at this one, and then on the other side, what you normally see is the incoming administration with Trump and Vance, their families immediately behind them. Then you usually see the cabinet members, the incoming administration. That's you in close friends scattered in on the main platform. And then you have other VIP sections, right, with other guests. What you saw that's probably different than other administrations is on the incoming administration side, you did have the incoming administration, their immediate family, and instead of the cabinet right after, you had a row of what we're calling the broligarchs. These are the billionaires that are in charge of the technological firms. So you have the leader of Google, of SpaceX and Tesla, Amazon, Meta, all of those people are sitting there directly behind the families of the incoming administration. And then you have, obviously, the cabinet nominees back there. I do want to point out that Vivek Ramaswamy was there. Vivek was been hailed as one of the incomers of incoming co-chairs of the DOGE, or the Department of Government Efficiency, that was created for Trump, because that's how you create efficiency, is you create a new department for it, even though you have all of these other efficiency offices already in the... Anyway, Vivek Ramaswamy was supposed to be leading this organization with Elon Musk. He's out, and he's been out for a couple weeks now, but they're just now putting it out, and he's going to go run for the governor of Ohio, right? The reason why he's actually out is because he came out and supported the H-1N visa program very hard, because there was some talk from the Trump side that they were going to get rid of the H-1N visa program, and he came out in support of the program because the point of the program is to bring in high quality, like basically like STEM people from all over the world. But a lot of them are coming from India, and it's a lot of engineers, a lot of doctors. These are the type of people that we want, to come in to help with move forward, and they get visas for that to come in and work because they are highly sought after, highly competent, highly capable, highly intelligent individuals that we think will make a difference by coming here, right? The program does have issues. There's issues with how they're being given out. Again, that's the program is made for the best and brightest in the industries of like STEM, right? A lot of the people that get these visas again are Indian, and the right started being very racist whenever they brought up the H1N program and started talking about that as a way to try to say that the brown people are only for the brown people, because that's how that works. So Vivek, who was completely accepted during the Trump campaign and everything else, because he was lockstep. As soon as he made one statement that was out of sorts, that's whenever he realized. That's whenever the true MAGA came out for him, and they got really racist. So he got to see that for himself, which he shouldn't be surprised, because not very long ago you had what's her name? The Crypt Keeper. Oh, the Crypt Keeper. What's her name? It'll come to me. But she's one of the right's darlings, and she said that she agreed with everything Vivek said, but she'd never vote for him because he's Indian. He said it to his face. So, you still have that going on. So no, he won't be in there at all. Yeah. So that's what you saw for the stage there. I thought that was interesting. He gave a speech. Trump was inaugurated, gave a speech. It wasn't quite the American carnage that he gave in 2016. The speech from 2016 was titled American Carnage because of how he spoke about America and how poorly he spoke about America and how terrible America was. This time he just talked about Biden and the administration, how terrible he was in the inauguration speech. So whatever. That ended up going on. And yeah, so inauguration happened. All of that went on. Immediately following, there's a more pomp and circumstance, right? They say goodbye to the Bidens and the Harrises, and then they go immediately into signing important executive orders. And these are ones that actually are done by pretty much every president. So the first thing that the president does whenever he comes in is they have to sign an appointments letter. It basically announces all the cabinet and cabinet level picks, right? And we know who all these are, but it's not official. They're not official appointments until he becomes president and he signs this letter with the appointments on them. So all the people that we've seen going through committee hearings and everything else, their names are on that list. The next thing he does is he announces his sub-cabinet appointments. So these are the next level down. He has to announce those as well. So he does that. Now, this is the other one. This is announcing acting cabinet and cabinet level positions. So just so everybody knows, until you think, oh wow, whenever the Biden administration leaves, and until the cabinet members, the appointees that Trump has put in place are confirmed, who runs those offices? Is there nobody running? No. There's actually, this actually appoints acting cabinet level members. So there are people, until the nominees are confirmed through the Senate, there are actual acting leaders of those organizations. So it's important to note that that they're still, usually pretty loyal to the president because they're acting. They're not going through the Senate process, so it's not like they're not gonna start some of the Trump agenda in there, but there can be some sort of like they're a little bit of hand tied sometimes inside of those agencies because a lot of people don't want to just listen to everything that they're saying because they're waiting on a new cabinet level, and sometimes those people can't really input the new administration policies because of that. So they have to wait until the new cabinet level appointee comes in. It just depends on what they're trying to do and how long that process takes. But there are people in charge. So the next one, and this is usually the last one that the presidents usually sign immediately following the inauguration. This one is designates chairman and acting chairman. That's just what it is. That's usually it. But there was one additional executive order that needed to be signed right then. And it was either Senator Thune, it was either the Speaker Johnson or J.D. Vance, or Vice President Vance, that said this when they were handing it to the president to sign. They said that this was probably the most important one, right? Opened it up and he said, "Oh, it's flying the flag of the United States at full staff on Inauguration Day." That's the most important one to him because he only cares about optics. If you don't know this by now, what ended up happening is that Jimmy Carter died recently, and after a president dies, there's a 30-day proclamation made that says for 30 days we're going to have our flag, our United States flag, be lowered to half staff to honor the former president for 30 days. Now, the President Trump will try to tell you that nobody has ever had their flag fly at half staff on Inauguration Day, and it's just not a good look. I just don't like it. Blah blah blah. They should fly it at full staff. First off, none of that's true. Richard Nixon, his second inauguration, was outside. There are pictures that I obtained from the Nixon Library. It was an easy search. It was an easy grab. The Nixon Library has the picture showing the U.S. Capitol flag, the flag right behind the president, while he's getting sworn in at half staff because a former president had died within that 30-day window. Do you think even Richard Nixon cared? No, because it's honoring a fallen president. So, just to ensure that never happens again, that a president just doesn't happen to die within 30 days of that, he had to sign a presidential action stating the flag was going to fly at full staff on Inauguration Day. Because that's the most important thing to him. Cool. A couple other things that happened while we're still at the Capitol, right? So, he's signing those. The next thing that he does is he goes over to a holdover room. Now, a holdover room here is because, again, instead of being held outdoors with a massive amount of space, there was a lot of people that were still VIPs. We're thinking governors. You're thinking podcasters, athletes, fighters, race car drivers. Those are the people in this room. I'm not going to judge who was invited and who wasn't because then I'd have to go. Then it'd be a very easy like, well, who's going to be at the next one? How many celebrities are there? I don't care. You had celebrities. You had Conor McGregor that was there, who I'm pretty sure just got convicted of rape. Or criminally charged, or maybe, was he criminally charged? I should get this right so I don't get sued. Any apologies if it wasn't for the conviction of rape. I think he was just held liable. Okay? He was held liable for rape. That seems to be an ongoing thing, an ongoing trend with the people that are happy with this administration. Anyway, but yeah, I'm not going to get into, who was there. I don't really fucking care. But what I do care is that he went into that holdover room and he gave a speech that said this was his real speech because he wanted to give this speech in the other room, but Melania and JD told him it needed to be friendlier. And he said that was a friendly speech. But this one, he immediately started railing on Nancy Pelosi, started complaining that the 2020 election was stolen from him again, lied about committee hearings, lied about January 6th. These are the things he's still obsessed with. Not once did he talk about your grocery prices. And then that comes to, and then he starts talking about, you'll never believe. Now I can't go after Pelosi and them because Biden apparently pardoned them all. We're going to talk about pardons now. Because I think I would be doing a disservice if I didn't tell you my honest opinion about some of the pardons that have occurred under Biden. One, there was pardons that occurred a couple weeks ago. One of the guys that was, his sentences was commuted or whatever, was a judge that was a cash for kids judge. And what that meant is that there were for-profit jails in his area. And there was a for-profit juvenile detention facility. For-profit and private means that they get paid by the head of who's in their jail or who's in their care. Why would they want people out? So they worked out a deal with this judge that he would get kickbacks for the amount of kids he put in jail. So he was sentencing children, juveniles, to jail sentences for things like skipping school, for things like jaywalking, for non-violent, non-nothing offenses. Like these things were just like, you should be, I don't know, in, like, when I tell you that the vast majority of these kids weren't doing anything that required jail time, but their lives were ruined because of it. He got money because of it. They profited off of these kids because of it. And then to say, oh, well, maybe he's paid enough time. No, he hasn't, because whenever he went to jail, it was right before COVID. And then COVID happened. They said, we got to release people out of jail because crowding. I get. They released him probably because of his connections. He got an ankle monitor, and since then, he spent his time on house arrest. I'm sure he's paid the price for all of his crimes. What they should have done is taken every single charge and every single day in jail that he assigned to a child that didn't need to be in jail. Actually, just do all of them. Add up all of those days and put him in jail for that long. And then take all of the money that private institution had made off of those kids, put interest on it, and make him owe that money to those kids. That is how you pay restitution. But that's just me. So no, I don't agree with that one. The mass pardons of January 6th committee, Pelosi, his kids, his family members, all of that. Listen, I agree with his ability to pardon his son because presidents pardon their family members all the time. I just think that that's a thing. Sorry if you don't. Trump, we're going to play it. A lot of people are playing whataboutisms right now. So I'm going to play one because we are all self-righteous hypocrites. So a lot of things you'll be like, oh, you're being a hypocrite. Probably. We're all self-righteous hypocrites. I can admit it. And I'll admit when I'm doing it. And right now I'm about to be one because if you want to talk about Hunter Biden and his pardon and everything else and all the things, whatever. Trump pardoned his son-in-law, Jared Kushner's father, who he just appointed to be an ambassador to France. So don't give me shit about thinking that it's okay to pardon your son who is... Anyway, the other pardons. I could go either way. I actually listened to General Milley talk about accepting his, and I've listened to other people talk about not accepting theirs. One of them, like in General Milley's case, General Milley served most of his life. He served honorably for most of his life. And he said that he does not want to spend the rest of his life having to defend himself in court, waste money, all of this stuff on bogus charges. And I agree with that. I mean, I think that that's a completely fair statement because he would be doing that against charges that are absolutely bogus. Millie's somebody who I was unsure about, especially in the summer of 2020. During one time in the summer of 2020 during protests, there was peaceful protests happening outside of the White House. And Trump went out because he said he wanted to go over to the church that he never goes to. So he brought Millie with him. And then they started removing the protesters from the street violently. Millie was in combat gear. He wasn't in service dress, which is normally what you see whenever they're hanging, like when you see people around the White House, military members, you see them in service dress. He was in fatigues. It was a terrible look to have the head of your active duty forces in military fatigues escorting the president out while they're doing, removal of protesters. Millie came out the very next day and apologized, responded to what happened, and said that it was completely unethical, unwise, and said that it was not something that he would do again. And I think that from that moment on, Trump couldn't stand him but from that moment on, I realized that this was a person that could own up to their mistakes and say that this is what was wrong, right? So I thought that was interesting. But Millie is a man that did serve honorably. And now he kind of is like I'm not comparing him in his service to George Washington. What I'm saying is that George Washington had said, General Washington had kind of said in his letter leaving is he wants to sit under his own vine, and every man has a right to sit under their own vine and kind of see what they've created. And that's what these people want to do. They want to retire and not have to deal with this foolishness that's occurring. So I agree with that. But I also see the other side of it where people are like, I don't want to take the pardon because I've done nothing wrong. And if I've done nothing wrong, then they can continue to come after me. It's all about how much fight you have left, I think. But, yeah. Here's the thing that people will say, though. Because Biden did all of these pardons, it allows Trump to do whatever he wants with his pardons. And that in some turn has caused people to be like, well, that's why he released all the people on January 6th. No, it's not. He had been talking about releasing the January 6th insurrectionists since the friggin' day he left office. That's been one of the campaign promises. So no, you can't say that because Biden did that with his, because that's what got Trump on. No, that's not. It's not. But you can keep telling yourself that. Anyway, so we got that going on. He had that whole speech that he had for the whole holdover room. Lots of lies, lots of verifiable lies that occurred. Meanwhile, you had a lot of his people that you just usually saw in rallies and stuff go over to Capital One Arena. Because since the inauguration wasn't held outside, many of his supporters were not able to, see. A lot of his supporters were not able to see the inauguration. So they opened up that new, they opened up Capital One Arena to 20,000 or so of his people. There were many people, I'm not going to front, there were many people that did not get in. The Washington, D.C. was full of MAGA this weekend. No, there wasn't a whole lot of other people in the city. People tried to stay away. But, so they were all there. So then you had people like Elon come over. And Elon got excited, and Elon gave a salute, and we all know what that salute was. We all saw it. He didn't do it once. He did it twice. And you can try to, there's all these people online that are like, oh, look at these screen grabs of like AOC doing it and Kamala doing it. They won't show you the whole video because it doesn't play in perfectly to how a Nazi salute is done, like freaking Elon did in front of all of the Trump supporters at Capital One Arena and in front of the world. When I say it's in front of the world, and you're like, oh, that was a Roman salute. You don't even know what a Roman salute is. Keep talking. But anyway, I digress. You go over to you ever wonder what people in Germany think when they see that? Because I've seen videos of people reacting in Germany to it. They're disgusted. You know that would get you, this is legitimate, that would get you arrested in Germany. Just doing that will get you arrested in Germany. Because they know what that is. They know what it means. You want to talk about how the world looks at us? I just saw headlines from all over Europe. Some of them are saying, the village idiot has returned. Oh, him doing his inauguration. There's a lot of videos, or not a lot of videos, but one of the headlines says, instead of God help us all, so help us God. Are the freaking European newspaper headlines. But y'all don't care about that because y'all are America first. Because that's, y'all don't understand what that means in history. But anyway, I digress. But, yeah. So he does that. But what I will say is, I'm tired. We all saw it. We all know what it means. They all know what it means. Everybody in this world knows what that means. Stop playing it over and over and over again instead of and not talking and then having roundtables talking about is it not? Talk about what they're doing right now to take away actual rights from actual people right now. Let's stop what's happening right now with actual people. We can all say that was wrong and he did freaking, like, what are we even talking about right now? If people want to deny that bullshit. Anyway, I digress because then it's taking this over and I don't want that to happen either. So, he goes back. He leaves Capital One. Elon Musk leaves Capital One and he goes back to the Eisenhower building on the White House complex where he has a desk now. That's where he went to after Capital One, the White House. And then Trump comes with his family. They do a lot of pomp and circumstance at the event. No big deal there. I mean, it's his event. He can do whatever he wants to there. But then they start signing some executive orders, or fake signing some executive orders because they really start signing them the Oval. But, you know, just hearing the cheers for things like mass deportation, removing birthright citizenship against the Constitution of the United States, hearing people cheer for that, cheering for declaring only two sexes in this country when you don't even know what a male or female is. Like, I'm tired, but we're going to keep going because that's the only way that we can move forward. So this takes us to Capital One, and this takes us to before he starts signing the recessions of all the executive orders and actions from the Biden administration, and even ones that'll take you all the way back to Lyndon Johnson's administration. And we're going to talk about those, what those mean, which ones are real, which ones are going to be fought for against. Which ones are being fought right now? The birthright citizenship. The first case is being fought in court right now. So that's important. We're fighting. We are fighting. We're going to fight back. And the way we fight back is through our voice. It is through the justice system. We still got to use it, right? It is through talking to our Congress people. Listen, Citizens United made it to where all of these billionaires that you see on that stage, they bought the election because they can. Because Citizens United, the decision by the Supreme Court, let them. They can dump as much corporate money into campaigns as they want to. So whenever you hear things right now from the right, whenever they're saying, "Hey, if you don't vote for this, we're gonna get you in we're gonna primary you," right? So you're talking about billionaires telling these people, if you don't vote for us, we're going to just throw so much money into a campaign against you that you're not going to have a chance. Guess what still happens? Americans still have to vote. So We tell our Congress people, we don't give a shit how much money goes into these campaigns by these billionaires. Our vote is still not for sale. Our vote is not for sale. We, the people, can still do something. And we're going to do something. But we have to work with the system as well. We can't just go off and be violent protesters. We are not violent protesters. If we're met with violence, we can respond that way, but we will not start violence. But what we will do is use our voice. What we will do is demand better. What we will do is protect each other. Protect each other. So whenever things get really bad and they start coming for your neighbors, who are you going to be? Are you going to be the person who protects your neighbor? Or are you going to be the person who calls the law on them? Who are we? We are people. When we beg for mercy from the pulpits, when we beg for mercy for our fellow citizens, that's us. We can do that. We can make this better. But we have to understand what's going on before we can do all of that. So, this takes us through Monday, Inauguration Day, to the Capital One Arena. And then we're going to start talking about some of these executive actions, which will probably take us another 30 minutes. So, see you on the other side.